Dr. Sanghamitra Basu, a retired professor from the Department of Architecture and Regional Planning, IIT Kharagpur, is an architect, urban planner, conservation consultant. She is the recipient of Danida Fellowship and Charles Wallace Fellowship. She has over 40 years of experience in teaching, research guidance and consultancy projects in the fields of settlement planning, heritage studies and participatory planning, preservation of historic areas, quality of life, housing and neighborhood planning. In recent years, she served as a consultant as a part of IIT Kharagpur team to the West Bengal government for declaring Cooch Behar as a heritage city. She has several publications in journals, chapters in books, monograph and papers presented in international and national conferences. She has also organized several training programs and courses on architectural conservation and historic preservation, NPTEL online course in Swayam platform, on heritage management and heritage and disaster management, Gyan, MHRD, Government of India. She served as a member of the National Monuments Authority, Ministry of Culture of Government of India during 2011 to 2014 and as a member to INTACH Architectural Division Advisory Committee, 2019 to 2022.
So I'm very happy that this particular topic has been chosen for this seminar because whenever we talk about conservation, we think about the past, and then we are talking about the future and beyond that which we are taking a future. And that's a very important aspect that is it should be. Because there is nothing like past, architecture conservation is actually a process which is a continuity of past, present, and future. So heritage is not simply about the past, it is actually about the present and the future. In dealing with heritage as a safeguard of cultural identity and in promoting this as a common good, we often face the question: who is cultural identity? Who is collective purpose? We know Hampi is a renovated site and feels that the people who are staying here, they have been interested because of the laws and rules and there was a huge internationally. Because the local people actually are the custodian of that. But in promoting and in safeguarding heritage, as I said, we sometimes actually restrict so that there is no enforcement and other things. And in the process, sometimes we ignore the local people, the community, and how they handle the heritage and how they take care of the heritage. I'm glad that missionary was very humble now like that. So now there is a concern that even it is not only the built heritage, it is fascinating with testimony to the continuity of so many factors. And so the second side here, are we really able to keep that in the process of saying that it is a world heritage? And even before that, when we are talking about tourism and promotion of heritage, some of the questions come again, not only for the important heritage, but even for the village are now in the same state, heritage community. That for 1 year, all the balance the stakeholders, there is a common issue there. And also the people who own the heritage. So these architectural work, because these have been influenced internationally, as well as this convention, which is the current convention, which is a treaty on the value of cultural heritage for society. So these new training which is happening, because it has been changing all the doctrines and the guidance and how to value that, it gives the heritage a seen as a foundation solution. It can resolve certain things. So there it can really ensure greater territorial protection, sustainable reuse, and involvement of everyone, which is a very, very difficult thing in the transmission of heritage of the entire world. So important aspects of heritage and its relationship with the communities, micro and the macro level, and human rights democracy and the cultural practices. This is time when we have shifted from heritage being seen as a monumental heritage to common heritage, a so-called unprotected heritage, protected and unprotected very much, and how we are serving the children as a whole, helping them for their benefit. No, I'm not saying only economic benefit, but as a community in law. So the human right to the cultural heritage, this is the basic essence of the third convention, which is contribution to recognition and safeguard of this human right. I have spent almost 25 years in agriculture and also working and also doing somewhere in between. But that's why my concentration, even my postgraduate thesis when I was doing the planning was very important. So I know that very well. I know about the unprotected heritage and which is so resourceful and how we are really using them. If we were the
started in a, I mean, before that I was in Kharagpur, but people started from the villages approaching. Then Yasin came and he is Mohammedan by religion, but he said there are a lot of temples in that small village and the people are taking away the stone. When he was a very young age, he was guided and mentored by Tarapado Shastra, and he said how to resolve that. So that structure which you see, the Navaratna structure, he said come, and we just did a small budget estimate and a structure, me and the structural engineer, very senior structural engineer, and that project he got some money, seed money, to restore the Navaratna temple. ASI did a marvelous job that how the restoration can be done. But what is more important, he has spent his life there. He has become very popular. BBC has covered him. He has publication, but he has lost his job. He's very ill, but he has inspired so many people all over Midnapur that if Patra can become a heritage site, archaeological protection, why not ours? Because people are really, really proud of their heritage, smaller heritage, local heritage, privately owned heritage, and which gives, and there are, you won't believe, there are school teachers, there are who has published, who really form a community, a committee. So first thing we told that time, it is his, actually, when you go to Patra, you should listen about his life. That is the legacy of Patra. But unfortunately, when the villages on their own, this is not a complaint, but the villages on their own has contributed land for that, they have not got any reimbursement, and they now are attacking him that on your word, you have given our land and nothing is happening. If I start Patra, I can go on and on that what is the vision of this thing. But as I say, that he really, so what we used to do, we started this pilot project, then I used to take my students there. They helped him in making a brochure, and he got that brochure printed, and every conference in IIT Kharagpur, all the international guests or everybody will be taken there. And he actually was a visionary, and visionary for the entire region, that what this heritage means, the so-called smaller unprotected heritage. He had a vision to declare Patra as a World Heritage Site, but that vision is what made him, Yasin Pathan. So that actually gave us an idea that if people are so interested, they were approaching us, did he tell us something how to protect my temple or our temple? So I got this project, which is a regional mapping of heritage structure. So what we did in that project, it is the ST project, that when we helped train the local people, local schoolmasters or local people, the volunteers, to do the inventory for their heritage. We have given them small camera, how to do the measurement, and that drawing and then there was a plan to do everything on the GIS. It was partly done, and the project was incomplete partly, but all the inventory is done there. Many of the temples are no longer there, but this is how we started to the community participation, make them aware and make them as a part of that project, do the inventory. And that was my first idea about that. And then because of that, I know there is so diversity of heritage there, temple, churches, residential houses, mansion, and this is Narajul, this is Patra, that is that now Mughal Mari, and there is a very old Gupta period structure there, that is the Tamraliptu Rajbari. So there are so many of them and so beautiful resources are there. All really need a little bit of technical help. There is no dearth, and a little bit of financial help. There is no dearth of eagerness on their part to protect their heritage, and they're very proud of their heritage. So the next, because that was a continuation, the next task was a project given by Intact, where they're doing on an all India level or a national level state of built heritage all over. So I took up Medinipur, part of the Bakura, and part of Purulia to do this time I went to all the sites, and we have done inventory of around 120, 118 structures, and all by ourselves, photographic thing, and also given a report which is complete inventory in itself. But unfortunately, they're all shelved in Intact. Nothing was done, and I feel at the end of my life guilty that when I went there, they had a hope that something will be done to their heritage, but many of them are no longer there, and we couldn't anything. I started a project which, by the time it was, I got the project, I left IIT Kharagpur to do a online capacity building and guiding them that how to do because nowadays the videos and other are so important, we can guide them there. But that was, my idea was that even the heritage, I'm just showing samples. These are privately owned terracotta temples near Pashkura. There is a fort which is linked to our Puran, and that there is a rush, intangible heritage, where they do the rush on the water body. And I'm just showing some. There are churches, which is American Baptist Mission Church, more than 200 years, where the local people invited us to give them the technical help, and they raised the money to do that. And there is a whole campus of school, hostels, and other, all are lying in a very dilapidated condition. So I'm just showing some of them. And so these are the multiple diversity of heritage. Now, one thing of heritage is to protect them, preserve them, the finance, training, and the capacity building. But then other thing is to talking about the future. Who will go them? This so small, unidentified, unprotected, small known, lesser known places, they have to come to the forefront. So I was thinking that how this heritage, which is scattered over the region, to connect them, and so that there is a story behind that. And what is the story that we can link? It's not only just giving a circuit, but the circuit should have a philosophy and an essence behind that. So one is that the build of various types, which are diversified in itself, they are very local people only know, not many people know. But when you see in totality, it talks about the history of that place from a prehistoric time. And there are multiple stakeholders. Some are, there's no owner, some are, there is a trust, somewhere there is a private owner. So, and that is the Rajbari of Tumluk, which is in a bad shape. Some are protected, some are state protected. Most of them are unprotected. Because if the temple or mosque, they still practice that where there are structural problem, walls and other things. And when they have money, that's the sad part of it. When they have money, they do the restoration in a way which do more damage to the, I have seen doing marbling, doing artificial terracotta, or making a concrete structure. So that linking is not there. But that was the project I was talking about. I'll not talk about that today. So my idea was how to make them put on a tourism map or a visitors map, so that what can be the essence which can link that between the ownership and stakeholder. While studying and being there, I understood that there is a route can be a theme, because on one hand, it was connected to Tamraliptu, was connected to the northern India, Pataliputra and other, and then other was the riverine. I remember while doing that inventory, I went to a very small place and I found beautiful structures. I am not sharing that. And I was wondering, this is God forsaken places, why these mansions are there which are not maintained. Then while going through the history, now state archaeology is a very good district-wise documentation, and takes for each and every structure. I found that some of these places were very, very developed because they were connected with the river, which are now dying. The moment, and they were this direction, the moment the railway came, the railway truncated, and these became the backyards. So the flourishing settlements are no longer flourishing. So it is very much connected with the economy. And that is that. So I started working on the route. One is the water route and the rail road, because the Puri road is which connected the entire Midnapur district and through the eastern and the southern part. So, and it even goes because the Mogalmari shows that it was mentioned. It was, Daton is actually Dantapuri from the Buddhist thing. It was the biggest, largest monastery which was discovered there. And still many parts are unexcavated. It is now ASI state protected, I think. So in the Huensang and Fayan, there are old maps which shows that which routes were there. And then while looking into the name of the places, I could see the names have changes, but there are some etymology. You can find out which places were there and go back to the history. So like the Puri road is very important. This is the road when Chaitanya came. And also this is the same route. And then I found this beautiful privately owned structures which are away from the main road. Why they were away from the main road? Because they say we wanted to protect ourselves from the Marathas. And so they were a little interior. So the route played a very important role. So I collected whatever the old maps which are possible, and I overlaid them, and many of the places I could relate to their present name and the old name, and I could locate the places, and that, I mean, it can be done much more, but some of the places I know that why these magnificent structures were there, which are all in a uncared for, unprotected state. So if we can talk about that history and put the thing as a garland and give that, and then it is not remain isolated places, but they become a part of a larger whole, not only in Bengal, but of the entire thing and the various stages of history. That becomes very meaningful. But how to narrate that story? So these are the places I could identify by overlaying the maps and going back in the etymology and see what were the things. Yeah. So this period and places. So our temples have the narratives. They have the frozen sculptures which tell the story. But how to make them today's and a futuristic one? Pingla and a Potachitra, not only there are many places which have Potachitra, which have a scroll painting and they tell the story. They have a different community, but they draw that and they. So I approached them. This is Sharno, who is now internationally known, and then say, can you do a Potachitra for the Medinipur heritage? I will give you the story. And even IT itself has a story. It started at a prison before the British, before independence. They also didn't know that. So I gave them that story and the places, and I wrote a script in my own way of the places and gave them and say that you now give your Potachitra, which is a living heritage, and give a story which you can tell the tourists and other things. Okay, so this is the story. If a little bit of glimpse of the Potachitra video, and this is how it can become a larger and involving the community and the description. কে করবে এটা? আপনি ভিডিওতে দিয়ে দিন। 1 minute. So this is the way that how community futuristic, and it is their livelihood, the entire village and other thing they actually. So the road, the path becomes the hero of that Potachitra scroll and the story, and that connects the places, and they can go to the various mela and go that. So this is a way how to connect and make a living heritage and talk about the story of the places. It's a long video, but I'll just have us just a second so that you know the sound actually. So they the sound to popularize. So the road becomes and they mark the places of the state. They are written there. Square. So this is how connect the tangible and the intangible, past and the present, and put all the unprotected modern places on the larger side. So, so okay, so this I will go with the target chart. So this is a small attempt for understanding and knowing the heritage, the tangible heritage in all this. And involving them.